Rylan Ward never believed in luck. He believed in credits, hard work, and finding value where others saw dust. That's why when he saw the listing, abandoned human colony for sale, 100 credits. No warranty. He didn't hesitate. He laughed, paid the fee, and signed the deal. A whole town for less than a night's fuel cost. It was supposed to be a quick salvage job. Easy profit. But Rylan had no idea what waited for him on that dead world. The planet was called Idara 9, a forgotten colony world from the early expansion days. Records said the human settlers had left 80 years ago after a mining disaster. The air was still breathable, the gravity light, but no one came back. Too remote, too broken, too haunted by history. When Rylan's ship entered the dusty atmosphere, his sensors showed nothing alive. Just silence, a whole town sitting empty under a pale sun, waiting for someone foolish enough to return. His ship landed in the center of the ghost town. The buildings leaned to one side, half buried in sand. Old signs hung loose, creaking in the wind. The word Haven's Rest was barely readable on the gate. He stepped out, boots crunching on the dry ground. The air smelled like metal and ash. No sound of birds. No hum of machines. Just the whisper of the wind slipping between empty windows. Rylan opened his wrist pad and started recording his salvage log. Entry 1. Location confirmed. No signs of life. Beginning inspection. His voice echoed softly against the buildings. He walked down the main street, scanning for working tech. He spotted a few solar panels, rusted drones, and an old water pump. Everything was dead, but something about the town felt watched. Every time he turned a corner, he felt eyes on him. It was nonsense, he told himself. Ghost stories from the miners who once lived here. He stopped at what looked like an old diner. The door creaked open by itself, making him jump. Just the wind, he muttered. Inside, chairs were still standing, cups still sitting on the counter, covered in dust. Like everyone had left in a hurry and never came back. He turned on his flashlight and noticed something strange. Footprints on the dusty floor. Not old and cracked like the rest, but fresh, small, almost like a child's. Rylan froze. There were no humans left on this planet, not even animals. His hand went to his blaster. He followed the prints slowly, each step echoing louder than the last. The trail led to the kitchen, then vanished near a cracked door leading down to a basement. He hesitated. No life signs, his scanner whispered. Still, something didn't feel right. He opened the door and pointed his light down the dark stairs. The basement was empty. Boxes, metal scraps, broken tools. But his radio crackled suddenly. A faint whisper came through the static. Rylan! He froze, his name. Someone or something had said his name. He tapped the comm. Who's there? Identify yourself. No answer. Just static. Then another whisper. Why did you come back? Rylan's heart pounded. He climbed back up the stairs, scanning the room. Nothing. The air felt colder now. He left the diner, trying to calm himself. It must be interference. Old communication towers sometimes echoed past transmissions. But deep down, he knew that wasn't true. The whisper had sounded too real. Too close. Outside, the sun was setting. The orange light made the ghost town glow like a dying ember. Rylan set up his camp near the old town hall. As he powered up his portable generator, lights flickered across the street. He turned quickly. The street lamps, dead for decades, had come alive one by one. The diner's lights glowed softly. A flicker of life in a dead place. Rylan stared, unable to move. Then the lights blinked out again, leaving only darkness. His ship's onboard AI spoke through his earpiece. Unregistered power source detected. Grid activity at 3%. Impossible, Rylan said. There's no grid here. He looked around. The silence pressed in again. He could almost hear breathing behind him. He turned, gun ready, nothing, only the empty street. He shook his head, forced a laugh, and sat down beside his generator. You're just tired, Rylan, that's all. He opened a ration pack, but before he could eat, his drone camera beeped. Motion detected, 30 meters east. He pulled up the live feed. The screen showed a figure, tall and thin, walking slowly between buildings. Its shape shimmered like light through water. Rylan zoomed in, but the image broke into static. When it cleared, the figure was gone. The wind picked up, whispering through the town's hollow streets. Rylan stood there, staring into the dark, his heart beating loud in his ears. He whispered to himself, "No one's supposed to be here." And then, from somewhere deep within the town came the faint sound of a child's laughter. soft, echoing and impossible. Rylan gripped his blaster, his breath shaking.
He had come for metal and scrap.
But something else lived here, something that knew his name. The laughter faded into the wind, but Rylan couldn't forget it. It was too real, too close. He scanned the empty streets again, the dust swirling under the orange sky. Maybe it's a recording, he told himself, forcing logic into his shaking voice. Old echo, leftover transmission. But even as he said it, he didn't believe it. The air around him felt heavier now, charged, like something unseen was watching every move he made. He decided to check the drone's data logs. The feed showed the faint outline of that tall figure again, distorted, flickering, but definitely walking upright. And then, for a split second, it turned its head toward the drone camera. Two bright eyes flashed before the image cut to static. Great, Rylan muttered. Haunted machines now. He tried to laugh, but it came out dry and nervous. He couldn't leave. Not yet. He still had to scan the town's energy core. He followed his tracker toward the town hall, the biggest building still standing. Its roof was half gone and broken glass glittered on the floor. Inside, the air was cold. Faded banners hung from the walls showing the words, "Welcome to Haven's Rest, humanity's new dawn." The letters were peeling, like memories too tired to hold on. Rylan's boots echoed as he walked through the dusty hallway. His scanner beeped softly. There was still power running somewhere below. That made no sense. The last maintenance record said the generators were shut down 8 decades ago. He found a broken staircase leading to the basement and switched on his headlamp. The beam cut through the darkness, showing old crates, rusted helmets, and data terminals covered in dust. He brushed off one of the terminals and tried to boot it up. To his surprise, the screen flickered on, dim but working. A faint message appeared. Project Haven. Final log. Do not reopen. His heart skipped. Curiosity always got him into trouble, but this was worth it. He pressed enter. The log opened, showing video fragments of the last human survivors. Their faces were pale and tired, their voices full of fear. Something in the minds. Not human. It's killing us one by one, a woman said, her eyes darting off screen. We tried to leave, but it's too late. If anyone finds this, don't stay. The video glitched, then ended in static. Rylan leaned back, the room spinning slightly. The laughter, the footprints, the figure, it all made sense now. Something else had lived here with the colonists. Maybe it still did. He closed the terminal and turned to leave. But then he saw something scratched into the wall beside the screen. Symbols, curved and glowing faintly blue, pulsing like veins of light under the surface. He touched them carefully, the glow spread reacting to his skin. His wrist pad beeped and flashed an alert. Unknown energy signature detected. Non-human origin. The walls trembled lightly. A low hum filled the air. He stepped back fast, heart racing. No, what did I just activate? He looked around. The symbols brightened, crawling up the walls like living light. Then they stopped. Silence again. Only his breathing and the soft crackle of his headlamp. Rylan ran back up the stairs, tripping once on the broken steps. When he reached the surface, the sky had turned dark purple. The sun was gone. The ghost town was quiet, but the power grid flickered again. One light, then another, until the whole main street glowed faintly blue. He felt dizzy watching it. The power wasn't random anymore. It was moving, following a path, leading toward the old mine entrance at the edge of town. Against every warning voice in his mind, Rylan followed the lights. The sand crunched beneath his boots. His drone hovered beside him, scanning. The air grew colder the closer he got. When he reached the mine gate, the light stopped. The entrance was blocked by fallen rock, but he could see faint movement inside, like shadows shifting behind the stones. Hello? He called. Anyone there? For a long moment, nothing. Then the shadows moved again, slower this time. A faint whisper drifted out. Leave this place. The voice was strange, not human, not mechanical. Deep and sorrowful. Who are you? Rylan shouted, no answer. Just the sound of stones shifting and a soft metallic hum deep underground. He took one step back, then froze. His scanner beeped wildly, a life form detected standing only 10 meters behind him. He turned sharply, gun raised. The flashlight caught something tall and thin standing in the middle of the street. Its skin shimmered like glass, its eyes glowing faint blue. It didn't move. It just stared at him. Stay back. Ryland shouted. I'm warning you. The creature tilted its head slightly like it was studying him. Then in a calm, almost gentle voice it spoke. You shouldn't have come back, human. Before Ryland could react, the streetlights exploded one by one, plunging the town into darkness. The air filled with that same low hum from below, stronger now, angry. Ryland stumbled backward, gripping his blaster tight. Somewhere in the darkness he heard the alien's voice again, closer this time. Wake them, and we all die. The town was swallowed by darkness. Only the stars above and the faint glow of Ryland's wrist pad lit his trembling hands. His breath came in short bursts. Somewhere in the dark that alien voice echoed again. Soft, almost sorrowful. Wake them, and we all die. Then silence. Heavy, endless silence. Ryland took a slow step back, scanning the street. Nothing moved. The creature had vanished. He swallowed hard and forced himself to breathe. Okay, you're not alone here, he muttered. But maybe it doesn't want to kill you. Yet. He tried to laugh, but it sounded weak. He turned toward his ship. It was still parked near the square, lights dim. He needed to regroup, maybe leave and come back with a crew. But as he walked, he noticed something strange. In the distance, one building was glowing faintly with warm, golden light. Everything else was dark, cold, lifeless, but that one place shone like a candle in the void. It was the old church. Ryland hesitated. Every instinct told him to stay away, but curiosity burned stronger. Slowly, he walked toward it, the sand whispering beneath his boots. As he reached the steps, the church bell gave a low, haunting sound. Not a clear ring, just a dull echo as if something old was remembering its voice. He pushed the door open. The hinges screamed. Inside, the air was thick with dust and incense from a time long gone. The pews were broken, the altar cracked. But hundreds of candles burned in small circles on the floor, freshly lit, their flames steady and alive. At the center of those circles, kneeling quietly, was the alien. Ryland froze. It was tall and thin, skin like glass with faint veins of blue light moving under it. Its head bowed low, hands clasped as if praying. The sight was almost peaceful. It wasn't the monster he imagined. It looked sad. He raised his blaster, his voice shaking. Don't move. The alien didn't turn. It just said softly, I warned you, human. You touched the walls. Now the old machines remember. What machines? Ryland asked, lowering his weapon just a little. The alien finally looked up. Its eyes glowed brighter, two deep pools of light. The ones your kind built and forgot. The ones that killed my people and yours. They sleep below this town dreaming of war. Ryland's mouth went dry. War. This place was just a colony. A mining post. No, the alien said. It was a battlefield. It stood slowly, moving with calm grace. Your ancestors came to take the mines. My kind lived beneath them. They called it a misunderstanding. But when the blood fell, it never stopped. Until one human stopped it. Ryland frowned. One human? The alien nodded. A woman named Captain Arya Ward. Ryland froze. His mother's last name was Ward. Wait, what did you say? She made a promise to my people, the alien continued. She saved my child. She said humans could be better. When your armies left, I stayed to guard the peace she built. I am the last of the old ones, and now... It looked toward the cracked windows. You've awakened the tomb. Ryland took a step closer, lowering his gun completely. I didn't mean to. I just activated an old terminal. The alien turned its gaze back to him, calm but sorrowful. That terminal was a key. The machines below were built to destroy anything not human. But time has twisted them. They destroy everything now. I kept them sleeping for 80 years. Until you came. A deep rumble shook the church floor. Dust fell from the ceiling. The candles flickered violently. The alien looked up. They are waking. Rylan grabbed his scanner. It flashed red. Massive energy readings coming from beneath the town. Dozens of them. "What do we do?" he asked. The alien's voice was steady, almost calm. "Run!" Rylan turned for the door, but the floor split open in a violent quake. Blue light shot up from the cracks, burning bright as lightning. Through the dust and shaking earth, he saw huge metal, shapes stirring beneath. The edges of old machines, long buried, now alive again. The alien stood tall against the rising light. "If they reach the surface, the planet dies." Rylan looked back at it. "Then help me stop them." The alien's eyes softened. "You sound like her," it said quietly, like the one who believed. A massive explosion roared beneath them, throwing Rylan off his feet. He hit the ground hard. When he looked up, the alien was gone. The candles were out. The church was collapsing around him. He scrambled out through the broken doors, choking on dust. The streets outside were glowing now, lines of blue light running through the ground, marking a path toward the mine. The air buzzed like electricity. Somewhere below, the metal giants were awakening from their long sleep. Rylan staggered to his feet, gripping his blaster. The ghost town wasn't dead anymore. It was alive. And it was remembering. The ground trembled like the planet itself was breathing again after a long sleep. Rylan could feel the vibration in his chest as he ran down the ruined street. Blue, lines of light spread under his boots, racing across the sand like lightning veins. They led straight to the mine entrance at the edge of the town, the same place where he had heard that strange voice. He looked back once. The church was gone, crushed into rubble, and the alien was nowhere to be seen. The only sound was the deep, slow rumble coming from below. He pressed his wrist pad, shouting into the comm. "Ship, prepare for takeoff. Emergency Protocol 7. The ship's AI responded in its calm voice. "Unable to comply. Gravitational interference detected. External field blocking launch." Rylan cursed under his breath. "Of course it is." He pulled his blaster and flashlight, heading toward the mines. The night sky had turned pale blue from the strange light rising from underground. The wind carried the scent of burnt metal and electricity. It didn't feel like air anymore. It felt alive. When he reached the mine gate, he saw the rocks that had once blocked the entrance were gone, blown apart from the inside. The tunnel stretched ahead, glowing faintly with moving light. His scanner beeped constantly. Massive power sources, deep below. He hesitated, but then the alien's words echoed in his mind. "If they reach the surface, the planet dies." He took a deep breath and stepped inside. The tunnel walls were covered in symbols, those same glowing blue markings he had touched in the town hall. They pulsed softly like veins feeding energy downward. The deeper he went, the louder the sound became, a rhythmic thumping, like giant hearts beating beneath stone. After a few hundred meters, the tunnel opened into a vast underground chamber. Rylan stopped at the edge, staring in disbelief. Below him, half buried in the rock, lay machines the size of buildings, massive war constructs with twisted armor and glowing cores. Some looked human-made, others alien. Their designs were mixed, metal bones grown into strange organic shapes. It was like two different species had built them together, or against each other. He recorded the scene, whispering into his log. Visual confirmation, automated war machines, hybrid tech, possibly remnants of human-alien war, estimated dormant for 80 years. Before he could finish, the largest machine's eye opened, a burning white circle of light. The others followed one by one. The ground shook harder, and the hum turned into a deep mechanical roar. Rylan stumbled back, eyes wide. Okay. Think, Rylan. Think. He searched for a power control node, something he could shut down. He spotted an access console near a broken platform and ran toward it. The screen flickered weakly as he hacked into it. The old system came alive, showing ancient data logs written in both human and alien script. War Protocol Omega. Defense units activated. Target. All non-human signatures. Rylan's stomach dropped. Oh no. The machines weren't just reactivating, they were targeting anything alien. That meant the alien who had helped him, and possibly him too if they didn't recognize his modern biosignature. Suddenly a voice echoed from behind him. "I told you not to come here." Ryland spun around. The alien stood in the shadows, its glowing eyes steady. It looked tired, like someone who had carried a burden too long. "I had to see it," Ryland said. "I had to stop it." The alien shook its head. "You cannot stop what your ancestors built. They made monsters with minds that never forget, machines that see life only as a target." Ryland pointed to the screen. "There's still power control. Here, maybe we can override the command." The alien moved closer, its form flickering in the blue light. "Even if you do, their memories remain. They will wake again. They always do." The ground split again as one of the massive machines rose fully from the rock. It was a giant bipedal shape, armor gleaming, its head turning toward them. Ryland could see the faded human logo on its chest. U. HC Defender Unit 01. The alien shouted, "Run!" and pulled Ryland aside just as a beam of plasma shot from the machine's arm, burning through the tunnel wall. Rock and dust exploded around them. Ryland fell hard, coughing, his ears ringing. They ran through a side tunnel chased by the roar of machines waking up behind them. Lights blinked above, red this time, angry, alive. The alien guided him through winding passages, their footsteps echoing off metal and stone. Finally, they burst out into an old maintenance shaft that led back toward the surface. The alien stopped, gasping for air that it didn't need. "They are fully awake now. I cannot hold them back anymore." Ryland looked down at the glowing town below, blue light spreading through every building. "Then what do we do?" The alien's eyes glowed brighter, full of quiet pain. "We finish what your mother started. We end them, nor they will end everything." Before Ryland could reply, another explosion rocked the ground. The machines were breaking through the tunnels, climbing upward toward the ghost town above. Ryland tightened his grip on his blaster, staring into the rising blue glow. Then let's make sure they don't see the surface. He didn't know how to fight a war from 80 years ago. But he knew one thing for sure. This ghost town wasn't done with him yet. The ground above Haven's Rest cracked open like an old wound bleeding light. Huge metal forms rose from beneath, shaking off dust and stone. Their eyes burned white, their limbs grinding with rusty screams. The town that had been silent for 80 years was now alive with fire and thunder. Ryland ran through the broken streets beside the alien, the ground shaking beneath their feet. His ship tried to lift off again, but the gravitational field held it down like invisible chains. "They're sealing the area," he shouted. "They don't want anyone leaving." The alien didn't answer. Its glowing veins pulsed brighter, reacting to the energy around them. "They have awakened their network," it said. "They are remembering the war. Then we shut it down," Ryland yelled. He pointed toward the town hall where the old communication tower still stood tall. "If we can override the signal from there, maybe we can stop them." The alien's voice was calm, almost sad. "You cannot stop memory, human. Only understand it." They reached the square where the machine's shadows loomed large over the buildings. Ryland hid behind an old shuttle wreck, his heart racing. The air smelled of burnt ozone and metal. He peeked out. One of the war machines, shaped like a massive humanoid, was scanning the area with blinding white light. Every time the beam touched a structure, the walls melted like wax. The alien raised its hand, whispering something in its strange tongue. A blue shimmer rippled across the air, bending the machine's light away from them. "Go," it said. "They cannot see you for a short time." Ryland sprinted toward the tower, climbing over debris. His hand shook as he reached the access terminal. The screen still worked, glowing faintly. Lines of code scrolled by. Omega Protocol. Active. Target priority. Non-human entities. He began typing commands, trying to override the signal. Sparks flew from the panel. Come on," he muttered. But as he worked, the screen flickered, and suddenly it showed a face. A human woman, strong eyes, short hair streaked with gray. "Captain Aria Ward," the alien's voice said softly behind him. Ryland turned. "You knew her," the alien nodded slowly. "She was the one who stopped the last war. Your blood carries her name." Ryland stared at the image of the woman, his grandmother. He had seen old hollows of her, but never this one. She was standing in the same town hall, surrounded by soldiers and engineers. "We can't let them wake again," she was saying. "Too many died already, human and alien both. We shut them down. Promise me no one will ever return." Then the holo glitched. Another recording began. Screams. Explosions. The sky turned red. The war machines turned against everyone, friend and foe. Her last words echoed through static. "If they wake, end them." "Burn it all down." The screen went black. Rylan stepped back, his chest heavy. She tried to stop it. And failed. The alien placed a hand on the console. "No, she saved what she could. She saved me. My child was dying and she gave it her own air. She believed in peace." Its voice trembled slightly. "I stayed here to guard her promise. But now, her legacy is waking to destroy again." Outside, the sound of metal thunder grew louder. The machines were closing in. One of them smashed through a nearby building, sending waves of dust and debris into the square. Rylan and the alien ducked as shrapnel rained down. "We can overload the core," Rylan shouted over the noise. "If we cause a chain reaction underground, we can stop the network." The alien looked at him. "That will destroy this town, everything." Rylan met its gaze. "Then it ends here, like she wanted." The alien hesitated, then nodded slowly. "Very well. I will help you." They ran together through the chaos, heading toward the mines again. The machines turned their burning eyes toward them, firing beams of searing light. The alien threw up a shield of blue energy, absorbing the blasts but growing weaker with each hit. As they reached the mine entrance, Rylan's scanner showed the central power core deep below. "We overload that and the whole system collapses," he said. The alien placed its hand on his shoulder. "Once we start, there is no escape." Rylan smiled faintly. "Then we make it count." They descended into the mines again. The light was blinding now, pure blue energy pulsing like a living heart. The war machine's roar echoed above, shaking dust from the ceiling. When they reached the core chamber, Rylan's eyes widened. The heart of the town wasn't mechanical, it was alive. A massive sphere of crystal and metal, with veins of light running through it like blood. Human and alien tech fused together, beating as one. "This was their last creation," the alien whispered. "A machine made to remember peace. But pain corrupted it. Now it remembers only war." Rylan stepped forward, tears burning in his eyes. "Then we help it forget." He connected his wrist pad to the core. Overload sequence started, the AI confirmed. The alien looked at him one last time. "You carry her courage, human." The core's glow turned white, brighter and brighter until everything became light. And then, silence. The machines above stopped moving. The earth stilled. Rylan opened his eyes. The alien was gone. Only a faint blue shimmer remained in the air. Like a soul returning to sleep, he whispered into the quiet. "We kept your promise." But far away, deep underground, a single spark still glowed red. Something had survived. For a long time, there was only silence. Dust floated through the air like snow. The town of Haven's Rest lay broken, its streets cracked, its machines quiet again. Rylan stood in the middle of the ruins, staring at the smoking crater where the mine entrance had been. His ears still rang from the blast and his body ached from the shockwave, but he was alive. Somehow he had survived. The alien was gone. No trace, no body, only a faint blue shimmer in the air that faded with the wind. Rylan knelt down and touched the ground, whispering softly, "You did it." "We did it," he looked around. The sky above was still dark but peaceful. For the first time since he landed, the town was quiet. The machines were nothing more than cold metal statues now, their lights dim and lifeless. He thought of his grandmother's words from the old recording, "If they wake, end them." He had done it. But at what cost? He turned toward his ship. Maybe now, with the field gone, he could leave. As he approached, the AI's voice came online. "Welcome back, Captain Ward. System recalibration complete. Launch readiness at 50%, Rylan sighed in relief. Finally. He climbed inside and dropped into the pilot's seat. Let's get off this rock. But before he could initiate the engines, the radar beeped, a new signal approaching fast from orbit. He frowned. What now? The screen showed a large freighter dropping through the atmosphere, broadcasting an old mining company code. The transponder ID flashed, CPT. Voss, Starlight Salvage Command. Ryland's stomach twisted. Captain Voss, his old employer, the man who had sent him here in the first place. He hadn't expected anyone to come for him, or for the town. Within minutes, the freighter landed just outside the ruins, kicking up a storm of sand and ash. The ship's ramp opened, and a squad of armed men stepped out, followed by Voss himself, a tall man with a sharp beard and eyes that always seemed to be measuring everything they saw. Well, Voss called out, his voice echoing across the wreckage. Rylan Ward, you look like hell. Rylan stepped forward slowly, blaster at his side. What are you doing here, Voss? Voss smiled. Collecting what's ours. You found something down there, didn't you? Alien tech. Energy sources. Maybe even a live specimen. Rylan's face hardened. There's nothing left here. It's over. Over? Voss laughed coldly. Do you know how many credits a single core from this site is worth? We could power a colony for a century, or sell it to the military and retire rich. Rylan shook his head. That core almost destroyed the planet. You don't understand, these machines aren't just tech. They're alive. They remember war. Voss's eyes gleamed. Then we'll make them remember who their masters are. He gestured to his men. Spread out. Find the power source. The soldiers began scanning the ruins. Rylan stepped in front of them. I'm not letting you take it. Voss tilted his head, amused. You've changed, Ward. You used to follow orders. Not this time, Rylan said quietly. Voss's smile faded. He nodded to one of his men. A rifle butt slammed into Rylan's stomach, knocking him to the ground. They kicked his blaster away and pinned him. Voss crouched beside him. You always were too soft. Don't worry. When this is done, you'll thank me. As Voss stood, a tremor shook the ground. The soldiers froze. Another tremor followed, then a deep metallic groan echoed from the mine. Rylan's eyes widened. No, it can't be, Voss frowned. What is that? Rylan whispered. You woke it. From the crater's edge, something massive began to rise, slowly, painfully, glowing red this time, instead of blue. It was one of the war machines, but different. Its body was cracked, bleeding molten light, its movements unsteady but full of rage. The overload hadn't destroyed it, it had changed it. The soldiers opened fire, but the bullets bounced off uselessly. The machine turned its burning gaze toward them and unleashed a blast that vaporized half the squad instantly. Voss stumbled back, shouting, Fall back! Fall back! Rylan crawled to cover, clutching his ribs. The monster roared, the sound shaking the sky. It wasn't just metal anymore, it was alive, driven by the echo of war and pain. Then through the smoke, a familiar blue shimmer appeared beside him. The alien's voice whispered faintly, You must end it, Rylan, one last time. Rylan gritted his teeth. He reached for his fallen blaster. I thought you were gone. I am, the voice said softly. But promises don't die. Rylan ran toward his ship as the machine tore through the ruins, its fire lighting up the night. He jumped inside, powering the engines. The AI warned, Energy levels unstable, Captain. I know, he said. That's the idea. He lifted the ship just a few meters above the ground, turned it toward the creature, and locked the thrusters. For Haven's Rest, he whispered. As he launched straight at the machine, the alien's voice echoed through his mind. Gentle, proud, almost human. Protect what we both loved. The collision was blinding. Light filled the sky once again, and when the dust settled, only silence remained. The explosion lit the horizon like a second sunrise. For a moment, the whole world seemed to stop. No wind, no sound, just light. Then came the silence. The kind of silence that only follows the end of something great. When the smoke finally began to fade, there was nothing left of the war machine, or of Rylan's ship. Only twisted metal, scattered flame, and a crater glowing faintly blue beneath the dark sky. The storm clouds above slowly drifted apart, revealing stars once hidden by war and dust. Haven's Rest was quiet again. Hours passed before the first sign of life stirred. A drone, small, cracked, and half-broken, rose shakily from the rubble. It hovered, scanning the ruins for a human signal. Finally, it found one. Beneath a collapsed section of wall, half buried under rock and metal, lay Rylan Ward. His armor was scorched, his body weak, but he was breathing. Somehow, impossibly, he had survived again. The drone's light blinked twice and hovered close. Vitals stable, the AI voice said softly. Warning, oxygen levels critical. Rylan groaned and forced his eyes open. Pain burned through him, but he smiled weakly when he saw the drone. Still here, huh? He whispered. The machine beeped in response, almost like it understood. He pushed the rubble aside and crawled out. The town was gone. The mine was a crater. The sky glowed faint orange with dawn. Everything was still. Everything was over. Rylan looked toward the church, or what was left of it. Only a broken cross stood, bent sideways, surrounded by dust. He walked to it slowly, every step heavy. In his hand, he still held something small and cracked, a blue pendant shaped like a tear. The alien's pendant. He knelt before the ruins and placed it gently in the dirt. For a long time, he said nothing. Then softly, "You kept your promise. Now it's my turn." A soft wind passed through the ruins, lifting the dust like breath. The sound almost felt like a whisper, gentle, kind, familiar. "You kept your promise, human." Rylan looked up sharply. The pendant glowed faintly for a moment, then faded. He smiled, tears in his eyes. "Yeah, I guess I did." He stayed there until the sun rose completely, turning the desert gold. Then he stood looking around at what remained. The war machines were silent again, giant statues frozen in eternal sleep. The air smelled clean, free of smoke and fire. He walked back toward the landing field. Voss's freighter was gone, reduced to blackened metal. None of his crew had survived. The greed that brought them here had died with them. Only Rylan remained, the last survivor of Haven's Rest. His ship was beyond repair, but its black box was still functional. He opened it, connecting his wristpad. The AI voice came online, weaker now. "Captain Ward." "Mission status?" Rylan looked out over the ruins. "Mission complete," he said softly. "Haven's Rest is at peace." The AI processed his words, then said, "No life signs detected on surface. Do you wish to send a final report?" He hesitated. "Yeah," he whispered. "Send this to the Central Archive." He took a deep breath. "Report from Rylan Ward Salvage Division. Coordinates Idara 9. The town known as Haven's Rest no longer exists. The machines have been silenced. No alien threat remains. But this place wasn't about war. It was about forgiveness. A human and an alien kept a promise together. Maybe that's worth remembering." He ended the transmission and watched the drone fly upward, carrying his message into the sky. He knew no one might ever read it. But that didn't matter. What mattered was that the truth had been spoken. As he stood there, a faint shimmer appeared in the air beside him, the same gentle blue light he had seen so many times before. It took shape for just a moment, like a tall figure standing at his side. He didn't move, didn't breathe. The light flickered and a soft voice echoed. Calm, warm, eternal. "You are not alone, Rylan," he smiled through the pain. "Didn't think I was." The light drifted upward, fading into the dawn sky. Rylan watched it go until it disappeared among the clouds. Then he sat down on a rock, staring out toward the endless desert. The silence didn't scare him anymore. It felt peaceful. Far away, deep under the ground, something glowed faintly within the buried ruins of the mine. A small core, pulsing slow and gentle. Not red, not blue, but white. Alive but calm. Watching. The story of Haven's Rest wasn't over. Not really. Some promises, after all, never die.